Right now, as you watch this, your phone is sitting within arm's reach. And even though you chose to watch this video, part of your brain is already wondering what you're missing. A new message, a new like, a new notification. That pull you feel isn't willpower failing. It's chemistry. Every time you pick up your phone, you're triggering the same neurological system that drives gambling, drug addiction, and compulsive eating. And the engineers who built your apps know exactly how to exploit it. The average person checks their phone 144 times per day, not because they need to, because their brain has been trained to. Today, we're exposing the 5 mechanisms your phone uses to hijack your dopamine system. And once you see them, you'll never look at that screen the same way again. To understand how your phone hijacks your brain, you first need to understand dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It's not. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It doesn't make you feel good when you get what you want. It makes you feel good when you expect to get what you want. This distinction changes everything. In 2001, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz published a landmark study showing that dopamine neurons fire most aggressively not during a reward, but in the moments before one. The wanting is the high, not the having. And this is precisely what your phone exploits. Every notification, every red badge, every pull to refresh is designed to trigger anticipation, not satisfaction. Because anticipation keeps you coming back. Satisfaction would let you stop. A 2023 study from the University of California found that heavy smartphone users showed dopamine system changes nearly identical to those seen in early-stage behavioral addiction. Reduced receptor sensitivity, elevated baseline arousal, and a measurable decline in the ability to experience pleasure from non-digital sources. Your phone isn't a tool. It's a dopamine delivery device. And it's been engineered with precision that would make a pharmaceutical company jealous. The first and most powerful mechanism your phone uses against you is something called a variable reward schedule. And if that sounds familiar, it should. It's the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines the most profitable devices in any casino. Here's how it works. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered that the most addictive form of reinforcement isn't consistent reward. It's unpredictable reward. When a rat pressed a lever and received food every single time, it pressed at a steady, moderate rate. But when the food came randomly, sometimes after one press, sometimes after 20, the rat pressed obsessively. It couldn't stop. Your phone works on the same principle. When you open Instagram, you don't know if you'll see something amazing or something boring. When you check your email, you don't know if there's good news or nothing. When you pull to refresh, you're pulling a digital slot machine lever. And just like a slot machine, the variable reward keeps you pulling. Former Google design ethicist Tristan has called the smartphone a slot machine in your pocket. And the data backs him up. A 2022 study in Nature Human Behavior found that the unpredictability of social media feeds activated the same ventral striatum reward circuits as gambling in 89% of participants tested. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between refreshing your feed and pulling a slot machine handle. The second mechanism is so simple, it's almost insulting. And yet it might be the most effective attention trap ever invented. It's called the infinite scroll. Before 2006, every website had pages. You'd read page 1, click next, and consciously decide to continue. That click was a stopping cue, a natural break point where your brain could ask, do I really want to keep going? Then Aza Raskin invented infinite scroll, and stopping cues vanished. Raskin himself has publicly said he regrets the invention. He estimates that infinite scroll causes people to spend 200,000 additional human lifetimes per day on their phones. That's not a typo. 200,000 lifetimes per day. The psychology behind this is a concept called the completion bias. Your brain is wired to finish things. When content has a clear end, your brain registers it and allows you to disengage. But when content has no end, your brain never receives the signal to stop. Think about what happens when you open TikTok for just 2 minutes. You look up and 45 minutes have vanished. That's not a failure of discipline. That's a design feature working exactly as intended. A 2021 study from the University of Michigan found that removing infinite scroll from a social media platform reduced average session length by 40%. The infinite scroll doesn't just keep you scrolling. It disables the part of your brain that tells you to stop. The third mechanism targets something even more fundamental than your reward system. It targets your survival instinct. Humans evolved as social creatures. For hundreds of thousands of years, social acceptance meant survival. Being rejected by your tribe meant death. And your brain still operates on that ancient software. Every like, comment, and share you receive triggers the same neural pathway that once told your ancestors they were safe within the group. And every lack of engagement triggers the same alarm system that once signaled social exile. This is why posting a photo and getting no likes doesn't just feel disappointing. It feels threatening. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, responds to social rejection with the same intensity it responds to physical pain. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA demonstrated this in a landmark 2003 study. When participants were socially excluded in a virtual game, fMRI scans showed activation in the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the exact same region that processes physical pain. Social media companies know this. They've built their entire engagement model around it. The like button wasn't created to make you feel good. It was created to make you come back to check if people approved of you. Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook, admitted this publicly. He said, and I quote, "We need to give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked your photo or post. It's a social validation feedback loop. We exploited a vulnerability in human psychology." The fourth mechanism is perhaps the most insidious because it works even when you're not using your phone. It's called notification anxiety. Every red badge, every buzz, every ding is a carefully engineered interruption designed to pull you back into the app. But the real damage isn't the interruption itself. It's the anticipation of the interruption. A 2015 study from Florida State University found that simply receiving a notification, even without reading it, causes cognitive disruption equivalent to actually answering a phone call. Your IQ drops an average of 10 points when you know an unread notification exists. And here's where it gets truly disturbing. Your brain eventually starts generating phantom notifications. A 2019 study in the journal Computers and Human Behavior found that 89% of smartphone users experience phantom vibrations, feeling their phone vibrate when it hasn't. Your nervous system has become so conditioned to expect stimulation that it's hallucinating it. The red notification badge itself is a masterpiece of psychological manipulation. The color red triggers an involuntary attention response in humans. It signals urgency, danger, something that demands immediate action. App designers chose red not because it looks nice, but because your brain physically cannot ignore it. Every unread notification creates what psychologists call an open loop, an unresolved cognitive task that your brain allocates background processing power to until it's closed. This is why you feel a compulsive need to clear your notifications. Your brain is trying to close the loop and free up mental resources. The fifth and final mechanism is the one that ties everything else together. And it's the reason that even when you know your phone is manipulating you, you struggle to put it down. It's called the dopamine deficit state. Here's how it works. Your brain operates on a principle called homeostasis. It constantly tries to maintain a baseline level of neurochemical balance. When you experience a dopamine spike from checking your phone, your brain compensates by reducing your baseline dopamine level. Think of it like a seesaw. The higher the spike, the lower the crash. Dr. Anna Lembke, chief of the Stanford Addiction Medicine Dual Diagnosis Clinic and author of Dopamine Nation, explains it this way. Every pleasure has a price, and the price is an equal and opposite pain. Over time, with repeated phone use, your baseline dopamine level drops lower and lower. Activities that once brought you joy, reading a book, having a conversation, taking a walk, no longer generate enough dopamine to register as pleasurable. You need the phone just to feel normal. This is identical to drug tolerance. A 2023 meta-analysis in the journal Addiction Biology found that heavy smartphone users showed a 15 to 20% reduction in dopamine receptor availability in the prefrontal cortex compared to moderate users. The part of your brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and long-term planning is literally being degraded by overuse. You don't check your phone because you want to. You check it because your brain is in a self-created dopamine deficit and it needs the fix. So what do? How do you reclaim your brain from a device that was engineered by thousands of the world's smartest people specifically to keep you hooked? The answer isn't to throw your phone away. The answer is to understand the mechanisms and systematically disable them. First, turn off all non-essential notifications. Every notification you eliminate is one fewer open loop your brain has to process. Keep calls and messages. Delete everything else. Second, set your phone to grayscale. That red notification badge loses 80% of its power when it's gray. This single change has been shown to reduce phone pickups by 37% in a 2020 study from the University of Virginia. Third, establish phone-free zones. Your bedroom, your dinner table, the first hour after you wake up. These boundaries create stopping cues that infinite scroll deleted. Fourth, practice the 10-second rule. When you feel the urge to check your phone, wait 10 seconds. This engages your prefrontal cortex and gives your conscious mind a chance to override the compulsive impulse. And finally, replace the reward. Your brain needs dopamine. If you don't provide it through healthy sources, exercise, creative work, real social connection, your phone will always win by default. If this video changed how you see that device in your pocket, subscribe. Every week, we release a new documentary exposing the hidden psychology behind everyday life. Which of these 5 dopamine traps surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one.